thank you so much for your time, Eddie. I appreciate it. First off, I wanted to ask about just the film's presentation here at Toronto, what that means to you to bring the film here, and then, you know, the festival more broadly. You've had some good experiences here.
Toronto's probably the festival I know the best, because we brought Theory and Danish Girl, and back in the day I brought Hick here. There have been so many wonderful experiences and like serious memories, and whenever you bring a film here, it feels like it's filled with joy. People are kind of coming to want to enjoy the films. And there's a kind of buzz in the city, which, other than the traffic, which was horrendous, but that's apparently partly to do with Shawn Mendes playing last night, so not entirely the festival's fault. Other than that, it's wondrous. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about your co-star in this film, Felicity Jones. You had a chance to re-team with her, and you mentioned she was attached to the project, and kind of, it sounds like a big reason why you wanted to take this leap with her. What makes her so special?
God, what makes Felicity Jones special? You're absolutely right. Felicity and I were sent the script at the same time, and we had this phone call in which we were like, I'll do it if you do it, sort of thing. Basically, a lot of the film is these two people in a very small basket. So you knew that you wanted to be with someone that you trusted, someone whose company you loved, and someone who could push you further. And I adore working with Felicity. She has a kind of a rigor in process and like a passion for what she does. But but in this film, physically, what she has to undergo is so extreme that she just astounded me to a new level. So.
The film, to me, is highly experiential. I'm interested in kind of what it read like versus what it shot like, and then more broadly from that, Tom Harper as a director, because again, to me, it's an interesting story on the page. A sort of advent of meteorology and the intersection between science and adventure, I guess. Yeah. But what was his work like as a director as well?
Well, what was amazing was, you know, the technical side of making this film was they built a real gas balloon, which we shot in with helicopters and drones filming. And then that same balloon was taken up to 3,000 feet where a stunt woman walked over the top at the sort of, which is one of the peak moments in the film. But a lot of the dramatic stuff happened in a basket hanging against a blue screen. So some of the things, particularly when it got really cold, they'd managed to refrigerate the studio so that our breath was there. Felicity and I would put our hands in buckets of ice before each take, which became a sort of weird ritual in order that we could get a sensory idea of what we'd be experiencing, and Tom brought all that. He allowed us to come up with ideas of how we could help make the situation feel as real as possible. And Tom, I adore working with Tom. He has a sort of an absolute tenacity, and in order to keep going until he finds what he sees. But he's also like a kid. Not only does he look genuinely like a child, he looks like about 15 years old, but he has this wonder and this kind of childlike quality to him that makes it so enjoyable, even when you're dealing with quite intense subject matter, which at moments we were here.
You play a real-life figure, James Glacier. Did you sort of confine your research to him, or did you, I guess, research the era more broadly?
Do you know, what I did was, this film, Aeronauts, is based on, well, there's this book called Falling Upwards, which is basically a history of air ballooning and flight. And what our film is a conflation of some of the most extraordinary stories there. Glacier was real, this flight happened, and so I did a certain amount of research into him, which I found really informative, and added things like that box, the box that he has in the film, which is filled with all of his meteorology gear, and how he would practice dismantling it as quickly as he could in case they were to ever crash. All of those were sorts of elements which I brought through the research of the part. But also what I try and do is take all that research and then forget about it by the time that you're in the basket with Felicity, because then it's really what carries the film, I hope, is the emotional story between the two people.
Sure. Wrapping up, you talked about the film's use of silence, and when you ascend in a hot air or gas balloon, you encounter this incredible silence above ground. For you in your real life, do you require silence? Is that part of your process, your preparation as an actor?
God, it's funny you should say that. I'm one of those people that can't work to music. I can't read to music. I love music, and I wish I could sit at a desk and have sort of music playing at the same time, but I can't. my ear goes off in curiosity and I can't sort of focus. So I am someone that needs silence. But I have 2 very little children, so it's becoming more and more rare a thing. But it's extraordinary when it happens.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.